Hello and welcome back to this week's KylerKast. I'm your host, Kyler Lynn, and today I'm joined by two very good friends of mine, Luke Kopriva and Josh Schreibeis. Please say hello to the listeners.
How's it going? I'm Luke. I play lacrosse at Belmont Abbey College in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I also major in accounting.
Hey guys, I'm Josh. I play lacrosse at Robert Morris University in Moon Township, PA, and I'm a biology major.
Well, awesome. Thank you guys for coming on today. I know that we're kind of doing this in the middle of Thanksgiving break since everybody's home for the first time in a while. I know Luke being in North Carolina, down south,
Yes, sir.
further down there, and Josh, I know you're close, but still, college. It's hard to get home sometimes.
Yeah.
So I want to say thank you guys for coming out.
Yeah, thanks
Did you
for
ever have
having
a good
us.
Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
And do anything fun, anything special with the fam at all?
I have a real small fam.
Yeah, just went down to Lancaster, had a good time.
Awesome. Well, as long as we eat well, spend some time with the family, that's all that really matters, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Awesome. So today's topic is what I'm going to be kind of covering is life of a student athlete, which, as heard in the intros, you both are. Both playing lacrosse at your respective colleges. And I want to kind of touch base on how, during college, how does that impact you a lot? So just kind of like a general question. So obviously, how hard is it to balance time with practice, classes, being able to have sort of, a social life
Yeah,
still too?
I mean, it's difficult, but it's not impossible. Like you dedicate more of your time towards like sports and school, but you still have time to hang out with friends and like do whatever you want. Like there's still a lot of downtime, more downtime than you would expect, but still very busy.
Yeah, it's definitely manageable, but it's definitely a little harder. It took me a while to adjust at first, being a
Yeah,
freshman.
absolutely.
Like, it took me a while, but I'm sort of getting used to it. I'm in like a, swing of things, little routine.
What's like the typical schedule look like? So like on a week-to-week schedule, like what's kind of like when's practice? Like you have to wake up early or late night practices? What's kind of a
Yeah,
general rundown?
so I actually am really lucky. I don't have to wake up early at all because we're like the number one sport on campus, so we get all the priorities.
So you're pretty hot shit, aren't you?
Nice.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Anyway,
okay.
so so on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, those are our practice days for the fall. And so I would have class at 10 to 10:50, 11 to 11:50, and then 12 to 12:50. And then I would have lift from 1 to 1:50, and then I had to be in the locker room at 2:30 for practice from 3 to 5:30.
So pretty quick turnaround all around.
Yeah, so my days for Monday, Wednesday, Friday are pretty much just all jammed.
So class, practice, running between stuff like
it's just
that.
running all over campus.
What about you, Josh? I mean, you're a sophomore, so
mean-
you've kind of been through the in and outs of this a little bit more. Because I know
Yeah.
fall season's not lacrosse season. That's kind of when the spring is obviously
No,
the
but
main season for lacrosse.
The fall is like arguably more busy than the spring is sometimes, just because of like I know for us we'll bump it down to like 2 lifts in the spring and then
Yeah, we
maybe
do that
3
too.
in the fall. But like what Luke said, I mean, I think everyone, like all colleges around, is pretty similar with like what you're doing, like lift wise and practice. I mean, we have ours at 5 a.m. usually for lift. That's like the only difference really I see there. It's lift, and then you go to class, and then you go to practice, and then class after.
Does that like give you difficulties with like schoolwork? Because I know that you go to class obviously, but there's also work for the class that obviously has to be done. I mean, any college student knows that. I mean, some people don't go to class, just do the work outside because some classes you don't even have to go to really. So like, how does that is the workload a lot? Because obviously sometimes if you get out of practice, say like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, you just probably want to shower, eat, and go to bed. There's no way you want to do like a full 5-page essay or something like after that.
Yeah, so for me, all freshmen at Belmont Abbey, I don't know if this is the same for you, Josh, but all freshmen and then any upperclassmen under a 2.5, I believe, with their GPA, they are like you have to go to study hall for 5 hours a week. So I have study hall on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So it's like I kind of already have to do my work. Like I'm forced to go there. Might as well do my work. But I consider myself a good student already. But there's definitely a divide between like the people who care and then the people who don't really care. So I think as long as you're just dedicated, like you want to get good grades, you want to do well in the field, all that, keep your mind straight, you could it's easily manageable.
Well, so do you think the studies definitely help? Like the study halls are have to be helpful. I mean, if they count you for attendance and all that stuff too. I mean, just getting there, time to get your work done, built into your schedule.
Yeah, like to add on that, I remember like my freshman year, I mean, we had to get 8 hours a week for study hall. So like you're
8 hours. That's
Yeah,
a
it's a
lot.
lot.
That's a lot. Yeah.
But, like basically they made it so it was impossible for you not to be doing well in school. Like they want you to get
That's
good
the
grades.
goal. They want you to be eligible. That's the whole point of
Yeah.
it.
So also speaking of eligibility, so what's kind of the minimum GPA requirement? Is that, I mean, I don't know if you guys have the same ones, but I'm assuming it also differs by school and by sport and by division, I'm sure, and stuff like that.
Mine's a 2.0 flat.
Yeah, I believe NCAA has a
Yeah.
2.0.
I think there's
just all
certain.
around.
I think it's an NCAA thing.
NCAA for like all sports?
Yeah.
believe
Oh, pretty
so,
cool.
yeah.
Oh, nice. So that doesn't make it really, as long as you're somewhat,
Yeah.
capable of being not a complete dumbass. I mean, you
Yeah.
should be able to. You should be able to pretty much
Go
play.
to class, turn your
As
work
long
in,
as
you'll be
show
all right.
up,
As long as you
dude.
show up, you should pretty much be able to play. And I think that like that's kind of awesome that you guys like still get to play. I mean, we obviously, I mean, for the listeners that don't know, I played lacrosse in high school with both Luke and Josh, and obviously did not continue into that direction going into college, but it still must be awesome to kind of keep playing and keep into your roots.
I think the thing for me that I think is like the coolest part is that every single day when I go to practice, I know I'm going to see something really cool happen. Like there's
Yeah.
times where it's just like I've seen something where I've just never seen it before, and the whole level of talent on our field is just so insane that it's like I know I'm going to see something cool.
I mean, that definitely has to bring in an aspect of you playing with different people all around. I mean, because you kind of, growing up playing lacrosse, you guys started what grade? I mean, fourth, third grade, something like
I
that.
third
started
grade.
in third grade.
Third
Yeah.
grade.
Yeah. I mean, starting in then, you kind of played with the same type of people all through elementary school, middle school, high school, and you kind of had a general idea of like what everybody's skills, capability were, and all that stuff. And like, I'm sure being on a team with people that you don't know as well kind of brings a whole new light up to like what else like kind of cool things that people can do.
Yeah, it's like it just has so much uniqueness, like what other people bring to the table. Like most of our roster is Canadian, and just like the way that they play, like their style of lacrosse is just so much different than like over here in the States, because they play indoor lacrosse most of their lives, and it's a lot different than field, and just what that translates is just really cool to see.
So speaking of Canadian people playing, not Canadian people, obviously just people that are Canadian and from Canada playing lacrosse at RMU, does that like a common thing? Do you see a lot of people besides like out of country, like a lot of people from Canada? Because Canada is a big country for lacrosse. So do you see a lot of, especially being in North Carolina, do you see a lot of people
we
that
have, I think we have 8 or 10 kids out of like 72 are from Canada.
Oh, really? And
Yeah,
they went
so-
to North Carolina from
Yeah.
Canada.
Well, I mean, like I got recruited there, so
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
not just random. But
yeah, but still, and it's pretty far distance.
yeah,
I mean,
it's definitely far. I know. My one friend Liam, he's also a freshman. He didn't even go home for break. Like it's just too far.
I mean, I definitely understand. I mean, even though Pittsburgh's closer to the border than North Carolina is, I'm sure that you have the same
the
thing
guys
there.
from Toronto will go home and stuff, but I mean, some people live in British Columbia, which is just, I mean, they normally
It's
just
by
go.
California. It's the other
Yeah.
side.
Yeah,
It's just too far.
it's way too far. Yeah. I mean, do they kind of bring any new aspects to, like, do you see anything differently because of the way that these guys are kind of practicing and showing you guys new things?
They
and
like to
stuff?
talk shit a lot.
Oh, really?
You
Yeah.
know, they
Yeah,
like to
about-
talk shit a lot.
Yeah, nothing's good enough for them here.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's just better in Canada. For
Is
them.
that like being all around like lacrosse, or just like general like U.S. things? Like, are
Just
they,
General
General.
things, like a lot of general
Yeah,
things, but
it's
nah,
everything.
they're
Well, I'd be the same way.
yeah,
though,
I would too.
if
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure like especially like things in Canada, like I mean most I mean I know it's like 18 or 17 depending on where you are in Canada to be able to legally drink.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
I think
That's
19
the
too.
big
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, and then they always talk about the free healthcare. They love that.
Oh, I'm sure they do. Yeah.
I'm sure they love waiting in line.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, that just shows some of the different things that obviously culture-wise bring. And I know Canadian Thanksgiving is a different.
Yeah,
time
dude,
than
we
the-
celebrated it with
celebrate
them.
You
like,
did? Did you both
yeah,
do it?
yeah,
before
it
us.
was. I don't remember exactly what it was, but we threw a little party for it.
Oh, that's fun. Celebrate the cultures. That's
We did.
awesome. It kind of just shows. I mean, like even playing sports, you can still do all that, cultural balance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I kind of also just forgot that Canada was huge on lacrosse for a second until you brought it up. I definitely just like
Cool
slipped my
playing
mind.
with them too. They just they play way more loosely than like here in the States. Like I feel like we're way more strict than they are, and they just they'll do the BTVs around the world like it's nothing. And like here, it's like I remember in high school, if you threw a BTB, even if it was like a good one, it was like you're getting yelled at or put on the end line.
For those who do not know, a BTB is behind the back pass. So basically throwing the ball behind your back.
It looks really cool.
It looks really cool.
Pretty cool.
And it's also pretty difficult to do accurately as well. So for a lot of, growing up playing, I know a lot of coaches were very adamant of us not doing anything like that or kind of fun trick-wise during an actual game to kind of, even though it was cool looking. No flashy stuff. You play by the books. You play hips.
Stick to the fundamentals.
Yeah, you use the fundamentals. You play hips, and that's how you win the game.
Hips.
There's a
shout out my dad.
Shout out to Mr. Kopriva who showed us hips a long time ago with those nubbies. Only certain people will get that, but if you do, you're probably laughing right now. Well, speaking of, so talking about the way the schedule breaks down for student athlete life. I mean, I know this is the fall right now, but does the spring different? I mean, especially with travel and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if Luke, you kind of got to that point yet in being a freshman still or not, but I know Josh, you definitely have gone through that. I know you've talked about traveling and how that impacts, just being like on a schedule in class and stuff like that too.
Yeah, traveling can be tough sometimes. I mean, we play Bryant, which is up in Rhode Island, and that's like, I want to say 7-hour drive, maybe longer. I could be wrong, but that one was tough because, I mean, just being on a bus that long in general would drive you kind of nuts, and you just want to get off and stuff. And I know going up, we had like a 2-day trip. On the way back, we just went like the whole day just driving, and that basically just kills your day. And I got really sick coming on the way home from Bryant, and I was like throwing up and just like faint and just I felt terrible, and it was on the bus for so long. It was miserable.
Well, and like that's what I'm saying, because travel definitely has to impact you in some aspect because of all that. I mean, like you said, you got sick, and I'm sure that put you behind. And like, I mean, being on a bus, being sick on like one of those coach buses is not an ideal situation. I mean, or generally just like being sick in college. I mean, for me, I think that like anything that would happen playing a sport or just kind of like inconveniences, like being sick in high school, like you break an arm in high school or like middle school or something like that. Like it's like, oh yeah, it kind of sucks, but like life still goes on. Like in college, if that happens, then like you're kind of put behind.
You got to deal with it yourself.
Especially because like life isn't stopping for you then. That's one of the biggest transitions. I mean, I got sick I think like 3 weeks ago, and I was like on my ass, like just mucus everywhere and stuff like that. Apologize for the listeners viewing me coughing up lots of mucus, but it was a true story. I had to force myself to go to class, and if I couldn't make it to class, I had to figure out like how am I going to get my work done, contact the professor and figure out, okay, maybe give me like an hour or so extension or something like that, or if I don't get anything, then how make myself force turn it in, because I am just dying and on my ass. But
yeah, so there was actually 1 week where like my whole entire suite was sick. So I live with 8 people. There's 8 of us total, and I don't get sick. I don't get sick. I never get sick.
Well, aren't you lucky?
Yeah. So there were 7 people in my room that were just hacking up lungs, so sick, like didn't go to class, and I was just like, "Oh, what's up, guys?"
Yeah, it's difficult when one guy on the team gets sick and you're around them all the time.
It spreads so fast.
Just everyone gets it.
So it's kind of like you have your own little community, like stuff like that. Obviously, like if one person gets sick, it's gonna travel.
Oh yeah.
So you said you live in a suite with 8 people. I didn't know that.
Yeah, 8 people, 1 bathroom.
That's
pretty similar to us.
Yeah.
So is that kind of like a set way they have for like living quarters for athletes?
I mean, that's just the freshman dorms for us. Like it's like so all our dorms, it's not like a traditional dorm. Like you have a card to swipe into the building. It's like they're all kind of outside. So it's like you just walk up to your door and then you put your key in and then you open that door and there's 4 more doors. So like we all just kind of live there.
Interesting. I kind of know the card swipe access and the key stuff from the both colleges that I went to, but kind of having your own little section, complete section away is pretty cool. Because I know like I know Pitt, they have suites, but it's kind of like there's a floor with like 3 different suites on them, and they like say 6 people share a bathroom or something like that. But like that's like you guys have your own like
we're kind of just chilling.
Yeah,
still 2 to a room. Or
yeah, there was a triple. Well, actually, we do still have a triple because there was 9 of us, and then 1 kid like moved out of our room, and then instead of letting the kid in the triple move into his room, he just pushed the beds together, so now he has a bigger bed.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, there is a triple, but it's not that bad.
Whenever I left RIT, after my first semester, I always wondered what my roommate did because like I've seen some people like there like that didn't have roommates like convert the room into like basically like a pad like a
Yeah, that's
lounge
kind of
room.
what he did
Yeah.
with his room.
Yeah, I'm always curious if he like made it like super chill because like you could have 2 beds, make yourself a massive bed. You have massive just like storage area and like you can just clear out
There's
the room.
so much room in the room.
So because you don't have to worry about like the divider
Yeah.
in between the room, you just make your own. It's pretty sweet. Was that what similar at RMU, the whole living thing, or is that just kind
Yeah,
of
so freshman year it was just like regular dormitories, and now my sophomore year we have similar to what Luke has is like a suite, and we're still like 2 to a room. Then we have a common area, and then there's a bathroom, 2 toilets, 2 showers, 2 sinks, and that's about it.
No, that's pretty nice though, because I know the one thing that kind of got me curious is that I'm sure you guys all live with people on your team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is that so how do you like? Do you have? This does not mean to sound demeaning, but like, do you have other friends besides your teammates? Because I know like you practice with your team. I'm sure you got classes with your team. You go travel with your team. You're always with your team. But I was like, is there any like, do you branch out? Like, is there time to really branch out to make other friends besides? Because like you said, you have the schedule, lifting, practice, classes.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I'm more of like an introverted person, so I don't really have that many friends outside of the team just because I don't socialize all that much with like outside of that. But there are guys on the team that's just like friends with everyone. Like, there's definitely time to socialize outside of lacrosse.
Yeah, so I mean for me, like being a freshman, we had to go to like orientation and all that stuff. So like I met a good bit of people, and my campus is really small. Like there's not that many kids there at all. So it's sort of like you get to see the same faces, you put names together. Like I'm good friends with a lot of kids on the basketball team. So I mean like I spend
Yeah, other
most of my
sports
time with
teams,
lacrosse
like-
players, like 100%, because my whole suite's lacrosse players, obviously. But I definitely have other friends. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like that's obviously good news. I was just curious and all
Yeah.
that stuff because, like, spending so much time with people, I'm sure you kind of just always like want to be together. and
Yeah.
stuff
It's
like
easier when they're like on another sports team too, just because like you guys go to each other's games and stuff like that too, and there's like you just see each other more.
that. Well, speaking of, so like, what other big sports are at Belmont Abbey and Army? Like, what other ones? Like, because I know you guys are both not huge football schools. And
No, there's not
No.
football. though.
exactly. Yeah, I was just say I don't think there was.
Football team
Yeah, and you.
Non-existent, really.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, most schools are like the football team or the basketball team is like the big one. So like most lacrosse schools are usually not like, or lacrosse is the big thing, and so
Right,
usually
yeah.
like those types of. So like, what other sports do you guys like really have there? That's like big too.
So yeah, our baseball team's really really good. I think our wrestling team's like okay, and then our basketball team's pretty good as well. So
I'd say we have a pretty good hockey team, basketball team, and I think those two are probably the big ones. And other than lacrosse too, I can't really think of another.
Well, I mean, obviously, smaller school, not smaller schools, but schools kind of specialize in those different types of sports usually have this because I know RMU has like rowing and stuff like that is pretty
Yeah.
big too, and like it's stuff that you usually don't like see at all like at other colleges. Like I don't think I've ever heard of like rowing at Pitt at all. If
I'm
it
pretty
is,
sure we have a bowling team, so that's kind of cool.
like a legit like
a
NCAA
bowling team, like
NCAA.
NCAA bowling.
We have a big like rugby following at RMU. Like there's a lot of kids that like to play rugby.
Oh really?
That's
That's pretty.
interesting.
See, that's pretty cool. Just like something different because I know in high school lacrosse is like the out there sport. That's like still like popular, but like not a lot of people are like gonna
Right,
do it.
right, yeah.
That's one of those, like you need some type of skill. You can't just hop into it really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not saying other sports like you don't need skill, but lacrosse is a little bit different in my opinion.
Oh
I'm sure
yeah,
you
it's
guys can
definitely
agree.
different.
Yeah, like, I think you guys can agree to that aspect
Yeah,
too.
like I'd say like football, soccer, baseball. Those are all the sports that you like automatically play as a kid. Like you're automatically signed up to them like by your parents and stuff. Lacrosse isn't really one of those sports yet.
Especially developing just like simple basic stick skills like
Yeah.
with a lacrosse stick, which is not something you can just do out of nowhere.
I think it's also like an area thing too. Like us being from Western Pennsylvania, like we don't really play, like it's not a hotbed for lacrosse, but like when you go to I live with a kid with Maryland, like he's played lacrosse since he was born. Like it's just different cultures. Like we're not really exposed to that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, just like, especially going to college, I'm sure you guys know. Just talked about the Canadian, like your Canadian friends, just different areas in the U.S. though too. People have like different aspects and views on life and all that stuff too, and just like different upbringings, which is pretty cool to see. I know like lacrosse, upstate New York is pretty big for lacrosse too, right? Am I
Yeah.
wrong? Because I definitely
Long
know-
Island.
Long Island. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. So besides all the student athlete talk, because this is a student athlete kind of topic based podcast, but just in general, I mean, is there anything that kind of spiked your interest? Kind of like what made you want to go play a division sport in college? Because for a lot of people, the time commitment is kind of a fear. There's definitely kids that could play in college but just chose not to. So like, what made you guys want to make sure to continue that passion that you have for the sport?
Well, for me, it was one of those things where it's like, what am I going to be doing if I don't play lacrosse? It's just lacrosse has like consumed my life. So like I've just been playing all the time. I have so much fun playing, and like it was just such a huge focus of mine. I just knew I wanted to continue playing that as long as I can, because there's going to be a point where you can't play anymore, and I just want to extend that as long as possible.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like pretty much all of what Josh said, but then as well, I also started getting recruited pretty early, right around like summer going into 9th grade. So like once I started getting that, like I wasn't even in high school yet, and I was already getting recruited. So like I was like, all right, maybe I can do this. And then like as it sort of just like kept going, like as I got older, I was like, I just didn't really have a backup plan. Like I wasn't really thinking of anything else. It's like, I want to do this, and this is what I'm gonna do.
So speaking of, this is what I'd like to do, and like this is what I'm going to do. Obviously not a dig on you guys, but lacrosse is not one of the top name sports in the country. Obviously, popularity wise, obviously football, basketball, baseball, hockey are the top
Right.
four probably. And soccer is number 5, but still not as big. So going and playing lacrosse in college, and how does that look into the future? Because I know you both have good majors and stuff like that too, and good backup for jobs and all that stuff. But playing professional lacrosse, especially now that like the MLL, the Major Lacrosse League, is actually kind of transitioning out, and the
PLL,
the Premier Lacrosse League, started by like the only person really that anybody knows to the sport of lacrosse, Paul Rabel, is starting. So kind of like, what kind is the outlook in the future for lacrosse?
I don't really know.
Yeah, it's kind of up in the air right now. There's so much just going on. The PLL has been kind of interesting, seeing how that has taken over, and it's definitely like, it's not the same to, I mean, NHL or NBA or NFL, but it's definitely, I think it'll get there at some point. Like it will be that big at one point.
Yeah, so I think what the PLL is doing right now is like helping a lot. And I know like the cliche thing to say about lacrosse is it's the fastest growing sport in America, but like it is like,
Yeah.
like 20 years ago, there was nowhere near as many people playing lacrosse as there is now. And like, so it's just continued to grow and grow and grow. So I mean, let's just hope it keeps going that way.
Let's see, like 5-year outlook. So basically, when you both are kind of, well, Josh would be a year out, and you would be, actually both of you guys would be a little bit out of college. But so, do you think that you would potentially be playing in that league? Do you think the league would grow as fast that there would be, more? I know they're adding more clubs to the team now. I think they just added a 7th.
Yeah,
one,
they're
right?
adding another one.
Yeah.
But like, what's the kind of outlook for you guys who play lacrosse in college, post college?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely hard to make a career playing lacrosse. It's not, I mean, there's not that much money there, but
I know, because a lot of people have a regular full-time job and play professional lacrosse.
yeah,
It's kind of like
that started to change too with the addition of the PLL, where they're actually giving these guys like enough to
Yeah,
live on,
yeah.
and giving
That's
them
sort
health
of what
benefits and
Paul
stuff.
Rabel was trying to do.
well, I know
Yeah.
too, because like it's kind of like the way like, ultimate frisbee professional is kind of played, that you guys play on the weekends or like late at night after their full-time jobs and play like a tournament style.
Yeah.
like a season with games, then you play tournament style way to finish out the championship and stuff like that. But I definitely seen, I hope it grows. I hope the sport grows.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is not
for
meant
sure.
to be
Yeah.
dig on you guys, but I mean, just obviously, we're in an interview now. You're on the KylerKast, so we're gonna pop the questions at you that you didn't know that were coming. But I mean, obviously, like I hope the sport grows, and I hope that you guys get the chance to play in it, because that'd be awesome if you did.
Yeah, I mean, playing professional any sport's pretty
That's awesome.
unreal
Yeah.
experience.
I mean, obviously, you just gotta work hard and make
We've
sure.
we've had 2 kids drafted, I believe.
Out of Belmont Abbey.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
arm have you?
We had a
had?
kid
Robert-
drafted this past year.
Robert Morris, for the NLL, which is the indoor box lacrosse
Yeah, that's
league,
yeah.
they got we had the number 1 overall draft pick last year, Tyson Gibson. Yeah, so that was pretty exciting.
So what I'm hearing is there's a very good chance.
Never catch me playing box goalie.
Ah.
Yeah, I don't know about box lacrosse.
I don't know about
maybe,
box lacrosse.
Maybe ML or PLL if I get the opportunity, but let's see where it goes.
Yeah, definitely. Take it wherever it gets you.
Of course.
But that's just. I mean, it's fun to think about. What could be. I think that, I always think about what could be just in general scenarios, but, to think that, what could be if I could be a professional athlete would be pretty cool.
Be awesome.
Yeah, be crazy.
Seeing kids wearing your jerseys and stuff like that. I'd buy both your jerseys. I'd buy both of them.
I'd give you a free one.
Oh, yeah, sign one?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, write me a little note. I'll hang it up on the wall. Add to my jersey collection. But, obviously, for the listeners, they're not able to see this, but both you guys are sporting your own gear right now.
Yes, sir.
At the current time.
You get the hookup.
The gear is one of the coolest parts.
I was definitely going to say, because you have your specialized number and obviously your last name and stuff like that. Pretty cool. But just because this is obviously a podcast about student athlete, I have to ask you both about the new NCAA rule that was actually changed about, I'd say a month ago now, but how now athletes are able to make money off of their name. So what are your opinions on that? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Especially both you being at smaller schools, I don't think it's going to affect you as much.
Yeah, we're not getting paid.
Yeah, you're obviously not playing like at Alabama for football, which Alabama now lost to Auburn at this time. So Alabama's actually out of the college
They
football.
lost. I didn't even know that.
So
The kicker just nailed the upright. And
so
double doink.
Being a kicker's tough.
Yeah.
Either no one knows you or everyone hates
and
you.
apparently that kicker hasn't missed in the past 2 years.
That's insane.
So he missed right then to tie it, which is unfortunate.
That just
But
sucks.
obviously, like big teams like that, Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Ohio State, Penn State. All these big name schools that you see, like they're on top of the rankings, and all that stuff. They're obviously the players there are going to be affected a ton because they're going to be able to make some money off their name. But for smaller sports, obviously, like you said, like RMU has like a bowling, or Belmont Abbey has a bowling team, lacrosse, like ultimate frisbee, even this, like the big name sports like soccer, hockey, even basketball. Even if you're not like a big basketball school, no offense to Pitt, but right now, the program's still in rebuilding phase. Not a lot of people are attending those games at a high capacity, so stuff like that. How do you think that this is going to affect you guys, or just in general the student athlete for the future?
Yeah, so I definitely agree with, like, you should be able to make money off your name, because if it was me, I would want to make money off of my name if I could. But I don't think it'll ever get to where you can just pay college athletes for, playing their sport. I don't think it'll ever get to that, because I don't think it should. I don't think it needs to be. You're still going to school. Like, you're getting a scholarship to go there. I don't think you need to get paid, but I don't really know what the future holds.
Yeah, I can definitely see the argument, like both sides. Like, you are kind of an unpaid employee at the school. Like, you're representing the school. You're bringing in money for the school, so it would make sense to get paid for that. But at the same time, you're receiving that scholarship money, and you're there for an education. It's like, it's tough. It's a tough call, but I'd lean more towards, you should be making money from your name. Like, if you're bringing that much publicity.
Do you think, obviously adding in the factor of tuition, living quarters, that also includes meal plans I'm sure you guys are on, because you both are on campus still. On top of all that, that still racks up to probably $50,000 around there. For just an average for most colleges nowadays. That's like a pretty good average for, say, out of state too, for tuition. That's the private schools. So for you to basically get $50,000 paid for,
I don't necessarily get a full ride.
Obviously,
I get it.
Yeah, the point of view though. Yeah. So you get that paid for 4 years. That's $200,000. That's
a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
They don't have to pay. Everyone else has to.
Exactly. And then the one other thing too is kind of like the balance. So obviously the skill position players, say in football, like the quarterback, the wide receivers, running back, maybe like an all-star defensive player, like a safety that's really good, or a defensive lineman.
Chase Young, a great example from Ohio State. But like those players are definitely going to receive most of the income coming from this new ruling in the future. Like even just like on a football team, like the most offensive linemen have not been recognized just by general of teams. Offensive linemen make the most money on the team, second most money on the team.
Agreed, but also I'm saying publicity-wise. If you check, most people, unless you follow a team very strictly, are not going to know as much about, or won't buy as much. Like, would you buy? What's one of your favorite college football teams?
Pitt.
Okay, we'll say, would you rather buy like a Kenny Pickett jersey or someone on the offensive line? I mean, probably neither.
Exactly.
Probably neither, but probably neither if we're speaking. You probably just buy like a James Conner jersey because like that's still cool now. But besides the point, like there has to be some type of balance to kind of make it fair an aspect. I mean, obviously you want the players that are. I mean, do you think that there should be any fairness balance?
I don't think it should be fair. I mean, it's like you said, it's the same as any other professional sport. I mean, like the players that are good and more well known are gonna be like the fans are gonna want their stuff more. So it's like I don't need to buy a Kicker's jersey.
Well, also kickers are also probably on the team for maybe a year or so, and probably cut after that if they're not long lasting. But you're saying, Josh?
I mean, I would agree with you. Just like whoever's making the most money or bringing in the most publicity, obviously should be paid more. But not to say that the other guys aren't just as important or even more important in some scenarios, but it's just how it is. This is how the world works.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's just kind of how things go. I mean, obviously like as a team sport too. I mean, everybody's doing their part to contribute, and some people don't get recognized at all. And so, I mean, obviously like coaches get paid a good amount. I'm sure like your coaches are probably paid a good amount to be the full-time head coach
I'm sure
at your individual schools. So, I mean, they already get paid a lot. So do you think they would be affected by this anymore? Or would it be more or less, do you think they would want to try harder or not try hard? Obviously you want to win, but kind of push you guys to another level on like a different aspect, to kind of like a PR side to help you guys out in that aspect, because obviously everybody's trying to get, people out to attendance wise for games and stuff like that. But I definitely think that sometimes if this new rule would be applied, that kind of might be the focus more or less than the actual game plan itself to some of these smaller sports, not less the big schools and stuff like that. I stumped you there, didn't I?
Kinda.
Are you saying like would they be more focused on trying to get a pay raise rather than?
Well, I'm saying would they be more or less worried about kind of helping their players out, because a lot of coaches have a strong relationship with their players, and now knowing that they would be able to get paid for their publicity, do you think that they would kind of direct some of their focus to more of a public relations type thing, so that their players would get more money from appearances, jersey buys, stuff like that? I mean, do you think that the coach, because I know a lot of coaches have strong relations, so I'm sure you guys are pretty close with your coaches too.
Yeah.
I don't really think that the coach would have any involvement in it at all, because I know, like, with my coach at least, like, it's business. Like, it's all business all the time. Like, especially, like, so, like, pretty much the only things I have to do is go to class, go to practice, and then study, be by myself, free time, whatever. I can't be messing up. I got to stay focused all the time. Like, got to be consistently doing the right things. I got to stay focused. And I think that the whole aspect of worrying about who's going to get paid what, that's just a distraction. I think that's not something the coach is going to be worried about.
Yeah, I'd say we just keep the focus on ourselves and probably not really try not to let that play a factor.
Obviously, you don't want it to play a factor, but just looking how the world is, I mean, I definitely feel like that might be an aspect, Let's say Luke makes more money than Josh. Josh goes to coach, say, "Hey, coach, can you help me out at all? Maybe try to get me on the next Instagram post about the team, so I can get some clout. Get some clout. That's honestly, you want to be strictly business. That's what coach is there for. But I mean, you can't ignore the obvious. That's just kind of how the world things, and being unfairly paid. I mean, that's just how life goes. So, kind of going into our next topic of kind of coaches. I mean, I know a lot of people that spend a lot of time with the team, you spend a lot of time with the coach.
Yep.
And a lot of coaches are looked at as father figures for a lot of people. Obviously, I mean, growing up, Luke's father was a coach, so I mean, you kind of know the ins and outs of that. So, how is your relationship with your coach? I mean, do you have especially not just a coach? I'm sure you have your skill position coaches too on top of your head coach. I mean, is it more just I know you're close with the actual team itself because you guys were all boys and stuff like that, but what about the kind of whole people on the team? Because I know being close with even the crew members that do all your equipment and stuff like that, and customize your little jerseys and all that stuff. I mean, you guys have to be obviously close with a lot of people you see all the time.
Yeah, it's cool being able to just go up to the coach's office. You can just talk to them about pretty much anything. They're always there, and I mean, it's a pretty close relationship. It's like one big family, pretty much, playing a sport. So
Yeah, I mean, sort of same way for me. I mean, right now I have 4 coaches. So there's the head coach, then there's defense coach, offense coach, goalie coach. So I'm obviously like closer with a goalie coach because I spend most time with him, and he's like a young kid, like he just got out of college. He's really cool. His name's Harley. He went to Belmont Abbey. He's awesome. Anyway,
Shout out to Harley. Well,
so
hopefully Harley listens to this.
yeah, probably not. Anyway,
Send him the link.
Yeah, we'll send him the YouTube link.
yeah, so I'm definitely probably the closest to my goalie coach just because I spend a lot of time with him, but definitely close with all the coaches. It's all love in the locker room. We all get the same common goal.
And just so we didn't get this clear at the beginning, but Luke is a goalie, and Josh is. You're still playing LSM, which is a long stick midi. Are you kind of defense still?
I've been transitioning to close D a little bit more this year and just playing in between.
Also, and for those that don't know much about lacrosse, defense is the one with the very long stick, and the goalie is the one that sits in that has the wide kind of net for goes on top of the stick. So kind of a little lacrosse 101 for listeners that don't know that much about it. Kind of forgot to establish that at the beginning, but we're all good now. I mean,
We're rolling.
We're already this far, and why stop now? So just kind of any thoughts that you kind of have just about the whole thing in general, besides me just banging you with questions?
I mean, if I were to give any advice to anyone who's going to be a student athlete, I would say that you can't prepare for it. It's just, you can't prepare for it. Like, I walked in, I thought I was prepared to have this schedule, like, super busy. Like, I'm ready for it. Then the first week hit me like a brick. I was not ready for it at all. You can't prepare for it. The next level is it's a whole different game. Just, you'll adjust.
Yeah, playing in high school is nothing like it is in college. It's almost just an entire different jump. I mean, you adjust quickly once you're there, but you're never going to experience anything like it without just doing it, jumping right in.
Well, speaking of, so I mean, advice for people that kind of obviously sign early, because when you're recruited out of high school by these recruiters, some of them don't give you a time window to kind of make a decision. It's kind of just like obviously being a job. Some internships and jobs. I know from my co-op that I'm going on next semester, they gave me 48 hours to decide, which is obviously not a whole lot of time because you want to see other offers that come in. So do you have any advice for people kind of going into this type of future? Because I know, Josh, you actually were committed to go somewhere else and then switch to RMU. So what does that look like? What's that process like?
Yeah, I'd say I went through the recruiting process fairly later. I didn't really know what I was doing. That was a tricky part. So you had to try to figure it out on your own if your coach wasn't really helping you out. And I tried a lot of different things, and I realized that going to prospect days were working for me, and then I was getting a lot of feedback after attending those. And I went to University of Indianapolis, and I originally committed there, and I really liked that school. Nothing against it, but then I was at a prospect day for RMU, and they were interested in Robert Morris. Obviously, being closer to home for me was just, I mean, that played a large factor into it, and just being able to be close to my family.
Is there any process for decommitting to a school? Is there a penalty at all or something like that?
I didn't sign my NLI yet, so there wasn't any official commitment. I was still an unofficial commit.
And for those that don't know, what is the NLI?
National Letter of Intent.
Yeah,
exactly. I just wanted to clear that up for people that don't know what that is.
Yeah, so I never signed that. So I had to call the coach and just tell him, hey, I think I'm gonna change and go to this school now. And he was really nice about it. Great guy. And I think either decision I would have made, I would have been happy. It was just that distance from home that played a large factor.
And what about you, Luke?
Well, so for me, I was getting recruited pretty early, as I said before, but I had never really gotten any offers. I was just talking to coaches, and it never really worked out. So then, for me, I also, just like Josh, I wasn't really getting a lot of help from my coach. So I started going to showcases, which is pretty much it's like a tournament, but you just show up, and there's college coaches there watching you, and you just play lacrosse. That's it. And so I went to, it was called the Under Armour Midwest Tryout, and there was 400 kids there. It was really competitive. A lot of them are already committed to D1 schools, and it was for this travel team. And so I went there, and I made the All-Star game, and I was out of 40 goalies, like I made the final 4. And so from that is where I really started to like pick up the recruiting process. And so opposite of Josh, I wanted to move far away from home. I wanted to go down south. Nice weather. Love it. It's awesome.
I'm sure it beats this quote right now, too.
Oh my God. I turned so soft when I came home. Like I came home and it was like 40 degrees and I was freezing. I was like,
yeah, you
I
became
hate
a real
this.
southerner,
I
didn't
did.
you?
I say y'all now. I don't even know who I am.
Do you not say yins anymore?
I never said yins,
Y'all.
but I say y'all now.
Oh, you should say
I don't
yins.
think anyone really says yins.
Nobody
no,
really says.
no, that's
In
what-
the city,
I-
people say yins.
Oh, yeah, we're a little bit
my,
outside city.
my
Not,
grandparents will say it, but I never hear it like that often.
nah,
But yeah, so a week after that showcase that I went to, I did really well there at the showcase, played well the whole time. So like a week after that, I had to have surgery on my right leg, or on my right foot, I should say. I tore my Liz Frank tendon. And so I was pretty much done for the summer. And, you know, like summer going into junior year, like that's a huge summer for recruiting. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm just kind of screwed now. Like, I don't know what to do. And then probably like a week after I had my surgery, I just started getting all these emails from the showcase that I went to. And so the main 3 that I was really interested in was Belmont Abbey, Wingate, and then Seton Hill. So Seton Hill is obviously real close to home. And then Wingate is also in North Carolina. It's about 45 minutes south of Belmont Abbey. So the way that I ended up deciding that I wanted to go there is that, so I visited all 3 schools and met with the coaches, obviously. But I just felt like I knew, if that makes sense. Like when I went to Belmont Abbey, I just
kind of it clicked.
Yeah, it clicked, and it was like I met with the coaches, and a big thing that I liked is that like they were all about me. They're like, we saw you play, blah blah blah. We don't care that you're in a boot. Like we still want you to come here. You're our guy.
Because I'm sure you were probably pretty worried about knowing that you got hurt. that
Yeah,
you
I
weren't
would I expected that to be a factor, but they were like, we know you're gonna recover. Like we saw what you can do. Like we want you to come here, and I really like that, and I also really like the location, and I like the size of the school, and you know it just worked out.
And one other thing for you too, I know that you actually probably had offers to go Division 1 and chose to go Division 2. So what is this decision behind that? Because RMU, where Josh plays, is Division 1, and you willingly chose to go to a Division 2 school.
Yeah, so a thing for me was that the Division 1 looks that I was getting, they weren't exactly like top caliber, and I probably wouldn't have played or gotten a lot of money. So going Division 2, I was the first commit for like I was one of the first commits in my class for Division 2, and because of that, I got a nice scholarship, a lot nicer than a lot of other people are getting, and so I got a lot of money, which I wouldn't have gotten if I went D1, and I have a chance to play like right away, pretty much. You know, I don't think I'm gonna play this year. But okay.
Well, because that's an important part for
Yeah.
people. I mean, if you go to play a
Yeah.
division sport in college, you want to play.
You
not
wanna
sit
play,
You want
yeah.
to sit in the match. It's 4 years of your life that you're dedicating to this practice schedule, this lifting schedule, this workout schedule on top of classes and all stuff. Like you want to go, you want to actually play. You want to touch the field. You want to make an impact.
Yeah, and I know especially for me, like I never heard of Belmont Abbey, so like without lacrosse, I probably would not have been there. So
Yeah, I would agree. I definitely faced the opposite side of what he's talking about, where when I was committed to UND, there was obviously more there offered to me, but I just felt more at home at Robert Morris, which was just a huge factor for me. And I mean, I got some playing time my freshman year, but I do think like if I went to University of Indianapolis, I could have been starting, or I mean, obviously you can't tell for sure, but I mean, there would have been more opportunity there.
And that's obviously a big factor into deciding where you want to go to school. I mean, just say someone that's not an athlete, they're going to school where they believe that they can, do well and, make an impact, feel like they're at home.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I mean, that's the same things with you guys, but also playing time is like something that is strongly considered by people. I mean, a lot of people choose their college, just where they want to get to time. I mean,
Right.
That's a lot of time to just sit on the bench if you never play.
I mean,
goalie's a little bit different with playing time, but I'm a strong believer of like if you work hard enough, like the coach is gonna see, like the coach is gonna put on who they think is gonna win them the game, and that's just the guys who are working hard.
yeah, and I mean, so for me, obviously only one goalie can play, and the best goalie is gonna play, but it's not like you would think it is, where it's like, oh, like we're all like, we don't like each other, like we're all fighting for the job, like we're not friends. No, like I am best friends with all of the goalies. Like we are so like close as like like we're all rooting for each other. You know what I mean? It's like, of course, we all want to start and we all want to get that playing time, but at the same time, we are also part of a team and we want to see the team succeed. And so, like, the starting goalie right now, his name's Bryce. Love Bryce. He's amazing. He should be starting, and I hope we win a national championship this year.
Do you think that's possible? Is the outlook looking good right now?
I think we can do it. I mean, we have a lot of home games this year, which is pretty beneficial for us. But I think if we have a really good team, we have a lot of talent, and so we had one scrimmage in the fall. And we scrimmaged Wingate, who I almost went there.
The one further than where you guys live in Belmont.
Yeah. So scrimmaged Wingate, and we beat them by like pretty handily, by double digits. So
that's always a fun number.
And they're a ranked team as well. So I mean, we're feeling really good. You know, the team has really good team chemistry. I hope that we can win a national championship, and I want to win a national championship.
That'd be awesome. And Josh, I know Robert Morris actually almost beat Maryland, which is a number one school for lacrosse. Always in the top 3, I believe. I don't think Maryland's ever been out of the top 3 in the past couple of years.
Yeah, they've been pretty dominant.
Yeah, they've been pretty dominant throughout the past couple of years. Obviously, it was before your tenure. It was actually, 2018?
The year before.
The year before you got there. But, I mean, you committing there still had to have a huge impact in them almost beating Maryland.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as soon as I committed, things just started clicking for them. That's how it works.
Once they knew that Josh Schreibeis was coming to join their team, I think
they're
everything
all fired up about that. They're like,
oh man, God. we got to show out so he knows we're good.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's what was going through all their minds at that time. No, but not to take away from discredit any of those guys in that game. That was a hell of a fight, and I mean, I remember watching that game on TV, and it's just like, I mean, they've played so many good teams. Like
it's surreal
cool
to think
I thought it was awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been to a couple RMU games. Like, it's pretty cool.
And it's probably surreal to you to think that, like, that could be you. Like, you're watching the game on TV and you're like...
Any team can beat any team. It's just, like, a big thing that we go by. And it's just... I mean, they worked hard that year, and they earned it for sure. And, I mean, my freshman year, we won the NEC tournament again, and we played Virginia in the same tournament.
Virginia is also a very, very good school for lacrosse. For those that don't know, always probably
they won the championship last year.
Yeah,
yes.
they won the whole thing, and we got to play them in the first round again. And a tough loss for us, but it was still like hell of an experience, really cool, and it was just a great opportunity playing another great team.
I mean, obviously, it has to put some respect in your guys' name too. I mean, you're a Division I school, but like a smaller Division I school. I mean, for you to almost beat Maryland and Virginia back-to-back years, I mean, people respect that. I mean, that's something that you just have to acknowledge over time.
Yeah, and we're just aiming higher and higher every year, trying to push for that NCAA championship.
Well, I hope you both win a championship. That'd be really. You get your championship ring and stuff too.
I want the ring.
You want the ring?
I want the ring. I'm ring chasing.
The rings are cool, man.
The rings are really cool.
Do you want to? You want to be this guy that wears the ring like when they're like 80 years old, like sitting like still all the time.
Should have brought mine.
Keep that ice on. You know?
Yeah.
It's got your number on it, your name, and everything.
It's
sweet, man.
Yeah, that's one of the things I wish I could do because that'd be awesome to have, but unfortunately, I'm not on that path. But still, I mean, I hope you guys get that. The rings would be one of the highest flexes of all time.
Be pretty awesome. Get a college ring.
You could just go to a jewelry store and give them $20. I'm sure you get the same exact thing.
Not the same thing. Not the same thing.
Just lie. Just tell everyone. Yeah, I'm
Pitt's
an athlete in college.
Pitt's Division I lacrosse team that's not existent.
Doesn't exist. Shout out Malik.
They should have a Division I lacrosse team.
Yeah, they do. Actually,
cool.
They're talking about it.
Well,
their girls team's really good. They won last year.
Yeah, the women's team's actually getting an official team, I think, in the 2020-2021 season.
I thought they already did.
No, it's like they announced that it's going to be. I could be wrong on that, but I believe it's the 2020-2021 season that they're officially in.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
The women's team is really good, and then I know the men's club team. Shout out to our boy Malik Talat, who we also played lacrosse with in high school. Good friend.
He's like the team captain or something. Like he's an important part of their team.
I mean Malik's a great player, but he plays on the men's club team there, and I know, and hopefully they do well enough to kind of get them to get a division team. I think that Malik was telling me that they have to do a certain amount of they have to win a certain amount to prove to the school that they can
be serious.
Yeah, exactly. So in the future, they won't just get a team and go 0-16, which would be
it's a bad look.
It's a bad look. Yeah. So I mean, and stuff like that. It's so cool. You see, it's a sport that's developing. I mean, not every college has a lacrosse team too. That's another thing too. Like Pitt doesn't have either right now, and they're just working to get that. I mean, especially, but that's something that is showing that the sport is growing fast, which is a cliche, but I mean it is.
It is.
I would love to see like just a couple more teams or a couple more colleges in Pittsburgh just get lacrosse teams, because right now it's just Robert Morris that's representing like Western Pennsylvania, and like
well, you guys have done a hell of a job so far. I mean,
yeah, Robert Morris is a small school, but I think we're definitely like making like a statement almost, and just like if this more schools do jump to adding a lacrosse team, whether it be at the Division 1, 2, or 3 level, it just grows the sport so much more in that area. That's one of the reasons why I like Maryland and like
Long Island,
the Philly area, Long Island, because all the colleges there have lacrosse teams.
Yeah,
I mean, it definitely brings the sport closer there. I mean, if we were in high school and say Pitt like had a lacrosse team, I mean, I'm sure we'd be going to Pitt games all the time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, of course.
It's just stuff like that. I mean, like
I remember going to like a lot of Robert Morris games even as a kid.
Yeah, same.
Like we had tournaments up there and stuff, and like it was cool.
it's just like having that exposure to you to kind of have that want.
Oh yeah, especially when I was young. Like when I was like, just first started playing lacrosse, like go to those Robert Morris games. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, you thought those guys were insane, and then you were like, "Oh wow, I suck."
Yeah, pretty much.
It's overwhelming.
It's just, I mean, you go to
God.
like you go to a game and you see people like know what they're doing. You're like, "Wow, like we're terrible."
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like there's so much nerve too. That's just like every game where you're just like you're in the locker room and you're thinking to yourself, you're like, one of the things like, oh, this is a big name school, like we're about to play, but you cannot like think about that. You can't think about it that way. You just got to think about like you're playing another team.
Well, I know one thing too, probably for college athletes, especially for you guys too. Like, when you get your chance to step up, you have to step up.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And if you don't step up, your chance, like, you have your work your way back up the ladder, essentially, to earn another chance.
Yeah, I mean, like, so for me, being a freshman goalie, like, I don't expect to see much playing time, and I don't expect to be, like, a huge part of the team, if you know what I mean. But
Considering there's one goalie. And
right,
you're not
yeah.
it.
So we had our first, like, we had our scrimmage against Wingate, and so I was the last goalie to go in, but I went in earlier than I was supposed to because the goalie that was ahead of me, he wasn't doing too well. So my coach put me in, and I went in and I played really, really well. And like coach made a point to like come up to me and was like, "Hey, you played insane. Like you played really well." So like that made me feel really good about myself because I was like, "Look at that. I like didn't blow it. I took advantage of my shot." Like it just feels good to get noticed.
Yeah, whenever you make a mistake out on the field, it's not a good feeling. Like
It eats you up.
It's amplified so much too at the like collegiate level too. Like whenever you make a mistake, it's a big deal. But you just gotta make the next play pretty much. And
I mean, that's just the thing about like having exposure too. Like you're exposed, but the same thing, you're exposed. Like people can see it happening. I mean, obviously collegiate. I mean, being like Robert Morris playing on TV and stuff like that. Like you seeing these things happen. I mean, people talk about it, and not just their own locker room and stuff like that. Which is obviously, I'm sure, like a bigger step up from high school to
Yeah, the
collegiate
boys are
level.
gonna let you know if you mess up.
Yeah, and obviously, like they're your boys too, but at the same time, they're gonna keep you accountable.
Exactly, and that's part of what makes a team a team. Like we got to keep each other accountable. That's what keeps us going.
Yeah, nobody's perfect, but I mean, you all have to make the best effort you can to be perfect. I mean, It's a team sport. I mean, you always help someone out on your team. It's a team sport, and nobody's alone. But at the same time, everybody has to do their job.
yeah, I remember like just like an example. We were playing Bryant, and I got on, and I was playing, and like I thought there was like 5 seconds on the clock, or like even less, and I was like, there's no goalie in the net. And I was like, all right. And I just like kind of lobbed it over there to like kill time. There's still like 30 seconds on the clock. I was like, uh-oh. This isn't good. When I came off the field, it was like, what are you doing? Like just yelling at me. I was like, I thought there was less time. My bad. Like, we're up a good amount, but it like doesn't matter. Like you just can't be making those mistakes.
You don't want to mess up.
Those are mistakes that you just shouldn't make at that level.
Yeah, of course.
And all the small things, like making sure that you don't get a penalty that's like uncalled for. Like it's small things, just make sure you are on your like all the small things, the details.
Yeah,
you just gotta pay
details are a
attention.
huge part. Is like if you can do the little things right, then you can do the big things right.
I mean, it all adds up together. I mean, once you like if you see an offsides penalty on like a NFL game, you're like, dude, what are you doing? I mean, like you're in the NFL, you shouldn't be getting offsides, and stuff like that. Like I don't know if you guys saw the end of the Auburn Alabama game, but Auburn actually it was a 4th and I think like 5, and it was like a minute 30 left, and Alabama was going to get the ball back, a chance to go down, and score, try to tie it up again, and then they were changing defenses. And they ended up having 12 men on the field, and they got a penalty call on the automatic first down, and that's how the game ends. Those moments and those big moments, like it's just like the small things that you got to pay attention to, or else like you're done.
Yeah.
Like I mean, obviously I don't know how your coaches are, but like if Nick Saban's up screaming in your face about how
it's not good,
it's not good. It's not good. Like especially if like you're like a top, like Alabama now lost 2 games this season, and they're like out of the playoffs. Like that's like something like like Pittsburgh likes to make fun of Mike Tomlin, but like he says the standard is the standard. The standard is the standard, but like I mean it is for you guys. I mean, there's a standard you have to meet all the time.
And I mean, that's kind of add back to the part where everything you do is amplified. It's like if you make a good thing, well, like you're gonna get like rewarded for that, where your team's gonna do well and you're gonna help your team and you're gonna get more playing time. It's like if you do a bad thing, that can be hard to come back from. Your coach might not trust you, especially if it's like a really bad thing. That might be hard.
Oh yeah, of course. But any other final thoughts you guys have to say to the people?
I don't think so. I think we got about everything.
Oh, awesome. Thank you guys for joining me today on today's KylerKast.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
So shout out to Luke Kopriva, goalie number 99 at Belmont Abbey in North Carolina, and to Josh Schreibeis, number 32, playing defense at Robert Morris University.
Keep an eye out.
Keep an eye out for these guys in the future. Maybe if their game's televised, only part of the time because, it's lacrosse. It's probably like ESPNU 2 or something like that.
BAC Sports Network. Check it out. All games are broadcasted on there. Pretty cool.
Well, thank you for listening to this week's KylerKast. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you all next week.